So today we're installing the MyEnergi Libbi. It's the first one we've installed. We got delivered yesterday. I don't think there's many been installed in the country, so it's going to be great to see how this goes together. So we've got the Libbi here, inverter and two 5 kilowatt batteries. So this is from the same manufacturers as the Zappi and the Eddy, and it's modular as well. So the batteries will stack underneath it and we should just have a nice tower of MyEnergi products. The beauty of the MyEnergi stuff is it creates its own little home ecosystem network. So the Libbi will talk to the Zappi, it'll talk to the Eddy, which is the hot water diverter, and it'll all be on the one app and it'll all communicate sort of seamlessly and decide where to send that solar PV. So this is the Libbi. If we come and have a look at the Zappi the customer's got installed already. The customer's got a MyEnergi Zappi, which is the car charger. And what we can do is we can add the Libbi to it. Once the solar's all connected, this will actually charge off the excess PV. So instead of taking sort of the full 7 kilowatt, it'll take whatever's spare from the solar and just trickle charge the car, meaning that they should hopefully use less consumption from the grid. Right, so whilst I was waiting for Tom this morning, we mounted some fireboard on the wall. The Libbi's going to go here. It's the first one we've done, so I'm not quite sure how to lay components out yet. So it might just be sort of trial and error, but we're going to pop it in there. We've ran conduits for the DC to sort of the location. Supply cables in, just needs clipping up. Yeah, so let's give it a go. See how we get on. This customer's having two 5 kilowatt batteries. The beauty of this as well, we can add up to 4 batteries, so we can make it 20 kilowatt storage capacity. One of the other beauties with the MyEnergi and the Libbi as well is it can be DC coupled or AC coupled, meaning if you've got an existing system you don't want to touch it because you're getting a feed-in tariff, we can add this front end and charge it AC wise. Hello, even the dog wants to come and have a look. There is an optional extra of a floor stand, but I believe this customer didn't want the floor stand, happy for it just to go straight on the floor. The next battery is going to sit on top, we've got to fix it on. Inverter, and then we can pull cables in and see how it looks. I think this might be actually the way forward for manufacturers, is to add a modular system. Gives you a little bit more flexibility in terms of storage size and expanding in the future. I think some of the issue with some of the batteries that I've come across is they're not pleasing to look. So if you've not got the space like a garage and you are putting them in sort of a house or utility room or something like that, they can actually look a little bit intrusive. Where this now kind of looks like just another white goods appliance. So we're hooked on, yes, and it looks like a couple of little screws will hold it to that. That bracket's holding it to the back of the wall. And that is the tower stacked. Okay, so here's all the components. We've got our input for the grid supply, our output for the backup if we were installing it, 2 inputs for the solar. What have we got here? Some comms, battery MCB. We've got PV switch as well. And then battery terminal connectors on the left hand side. So I think now it's just a case of getting all of our cables to this point and getting them all connected. And we've got the controller to put on, obviously the Libbi controller. So I've not used these isolators before, Europa. And normally when you test an isolator, you can't turn it on or off because you need the cover on. That bit goes into there, you can actually turn it and switch it. But sometimes you want to test it without the cover off. So I've just found that inside the box, a little test handle. Hey, I like that. Okay, DC isolators, controller. If we were to do something like maybe that and that. With any luck, this should all come together fairly quick now. This is a great tool. So we can put the Copex in place, push this fish rod up, ta-da! And that just means now we're not battling trying to push cables down it and struggling. In a second, do the same on the other side. Into the isolators, into there. One of the things about DC, and especially solar PV DC, is it's always live. So if the sun's shining on it, there's voltage running through it. And that could be anywhere from sort of 300 to 600 volts per pair. Unlike the Solar Edge that has the optimizers underneath, this will allow the full voltage to come through. So when you're working on it, you'd only work on one end at a time, not both, otherwise you'd get a nasty shock. And then when we leave things sort of safe, we never put both ends together. We always stagger them a bit so there's no chance of that end touching that end and creating a short. We'll tape them up, they're safe out of the way, and we can come back to that in a little bit. There's one string in. So now we've got that one to do. I've started to run some of this flexi conduit up. I'm just going to follow that line along, come in at the same place, down to the second isolator, and that's that one done. We just need to dress it and make it look neat. The beauty is with the Libbi, we're not having to send cable miles away. It's all together, it's all self-contained, and it's very straightforward. What I've done here is, because there was only one spare way in the board, is I've brought the supply over into the top of the isolator, and then out of the isolator I'm just going to break into the circuit and put a fuse spur. The Libbi's got to be connected to a 3 amp spur for the controller. So I'm just going to take it from the PV circuit and fuse it down. So we're just connecting up the controller for the Libbi, and we've got supply in your CT, so you can have up to 3 CT clamps on this. Because with the MyEnergi stuff, you can actually connect a CT clamp to the nearest product. So if you was installing a Zappy, well, you couldn't get a CT close enough to the grid, you could take a CT off of this if it was closer, and vice versa. So the CT, the supply cable in, and then an RS485 to the battery. And that is all that's required on this. One of the other great things about the MyEnergi stuff is it's got those push connectors that we're used to on the other products. Just makes life a little bit easier, despite the fact it looking the right way. They'll use opposing poles, like you might get 1 and 3. So it's always just worth checking they're using the right poles. at least this way, if anyone ever needs to work on it, you can see the polarity straight away. It's a little bit excessive, but I've got no YY or flex or anything on my van. It's a 5 kilowatt system, this. So what I have got is a little bit of Ultra EV, which will go into the plug quite nice. This into that, and then that should be it. I've not got any YY on my van, so this Ultra EV will do it. However, when we put the cover back on here, it's not a sealed cover, you can still get your hands around. So we've still got to make sure the cable's double insulated from this part until it gets into another insulated sort of enclosure. So I've stripped back the outer insulation on this, but we're still remaining double insulated. So the battery connection is tucked away in this corner. And like I said, I've not done one of these before, so we want to make sure that we're using the right leads to the right places and we're not damaging the battery. It's always a good idea to double check the manual. So, all in all, it's not actually been too difficult to install. Install wise, it's been very straightforward. Commissioning though, we're struggling with a little bit. It's probably something we're doing. Just on hold to MyEnergi. But it's doing a configuration charge, and it's been doing that for the past half an hour. And it's pulling about 4.5 kilowatts from the grid. Which is not what we want to see when there was plenty of PV before. Okay, so that's all done now. We've got the two 5 kilowatt batteries, the inverter, the controller, two DC isolators, one for the front and one for the back of the roof, AC isolator, generation meter, and fuse spur for the controller. That's it all working. We're just updating the software. We've connected it up to the customer's original Zappi, and we've connected it up to a Libbi, which we've connected up to a Eddy that we've just installed. Dogs put me off here. So yeah, that's all working. It's all on the same ecosystem. We've got it updated on the customer's app so she can see all of the devices now. Quick update on the inverter, and then we're off home. All done. The update's finished off. Everything's on, everything's working. We're about to leave. Today's been a learning curve. It's been our first MyEnergi Libbi that we've installed, and it's actually my first day working by myself. So you might have seen me on other YouTube channels or other business pages. I've left that company now, but I'm going to be focusing on more bespoke projects and things that interest me a little bit more. So that's my new company, Evo Renewables. If you've got something you want us to price, get in touch. Or if you're interested to see what we're doing in the future, just give us a little follow and see how we're getting on in our journey. Cheers, see you all later.